Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by Harold Griffin of the band Koyo. He also plays in the band Hangman. He's been involved in the Long Island hardcore scene for a long time, and it was super awesome to get to sit down and chat with him about hardcore and coffee. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up. What's going on, Caffeinated Crew? I'm here with Harold from the bands Koyo and Hangman, Long Island in the house this morning. Harold, how are you doing?
Yo, what's going on? I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Very nice to be here.
Thanks for coming on a Tuesday morning before work.
Sure.
It's a nice way to start off the day. What are you currently drinking on your side?
So I've got two drinks with me right now. I've got a 36-hour cold brew I did with an Oslo holiday. Oslo's a local roaster over here, and I picked up their holiday bag a couple days ago when I was there. And I don't remember what it is, but I'm a sucker for holiday coffee. So I cold brewed that in an immersion brewer that I have, and it came out pretty good. And also I have a shot, double shot from the place downstairs from the place called Lilia. They brew Joe coffee, which is a roaster over here that has 12 or so locations in the city. And I think it's really fucking good. And in proper Koyo fashion, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to combine these two drinks before I really get to sipping, because just what we do. Dirty boys.
Combine a bunch of shit together.
Yeah, that's just how we do it.
The immersion dripper, is that kind of when you drink hot? Is that what you gravitate towards, as immersion over like a V60 or something like that?
So I don't do any pour overs or nothing like that. Really, I'm not. Well, I've tried. I'm just not. I'm not that smart. I don't think I'm not that. I don't have the patience. That's my preferred home method. Is I have a cop out method, and I have I'm going hard, and that's to do the good one is to do a cold brew, where I grind everything myself, and I grind everything myself very lazily. Also, though, I use a blade grinder type food processor thing, but I sit there and I make sure everything's pretty even, and I do that, and I'll cold brew something, or I have, this is the most utilized appliance in my apartment, is I have an espresso Virtuo machine.
Okay.
Which is I was never a fan of I was never a Keurig guy. I was never an espresso guy for the longest time. And my mom had one of these in her house, and I was visiting for the holidays, and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. So while I'm working, I'll just throw in a shot here and there. But otherwise, I speak, and it's another thing that's definitely Koyo style that I speak on behalf of all of us with, is there is nothing like the feeling of overpaying for coffee. It's just it's really, really special to me. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like having the rude barista. I like having the weird creative menu design on the wall, and I like overpaying. So I really only cold brew and make shots at home, and otherwise I am so happy to just overpay.
That's like a true third waiver mentality right there.
Yeah, dude, I don't care about what people say about how this generation spends all their money on coffee. Nope, that's fine. I don't care. I do. That's exactly what I do, is spend all my money on coffee, and that's fine.
That's great.
I am drinking a coffee from MELK. It's MELK. They're like a Montreal shop turned roaster. And they have a washed Ethiopian called Arsi Refisa. It's really good. Tastes like some dark raisin and milk chocolate.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. My favorite. I know you. One of the things you told me to prepare a question for was my favorite roaster over here.
Yeah, that's the next move.
I didn't mean to
no, you're good.
Thunder with that one.
Go ahead.
And to reveal the secret that you asked before, but my favorite roaster over here is a place called Variety.
Okay.
And I like Variety for 1,000 reasons. Not just their coffee. Everything about it is just cool. And they have a bunch of locations in New York. And for the past couple of years, I've had a few different apartments, and I've always lived near this Variety on Grand Avenue in Brooklyn. And my favorite roast of theirs, I should say, is an Ethiopia. That's so I don't know what they do, what's different about it, man, but it is outstanding. And it's what they use for their cold brew. It's outstanding. Normally I'm a very simple man. I'm a lightly roasted Colombian. If I had to choose, that's, I'm a very simple guy, but I'm actually going to, because I'm not too smart with all the terms. I'm pulling up exactly what it is right now so that I could tell you. So maybe you could. All right. So it's a Ethiopian land racers. I'm going to butcher that. So I'm not even going to try. Feku, Jibril, Region Guji, washed. The notes are baker's chocolate, date, and cherry cordial. It is so good. They call it High Hopes. It is outstanding. If you're ever in New York, I definitely recommend you go to Variety. That's the spot. I
definitely love any coffee from Guji. Okay. There's actually one, I can't even remember the roaster. I was listening to a podcast like about a year ago, and this one roaster had released a Guji single origin called Guji Main, and I literally thought that was the most perfect name for that coffee. Awesome. I know.
I had one of the best coffees I've ever had, but it's not always around. Is there's a local roaster on Long Island called Flux who had, I don't know if they do it all the time, but again, stupid. And I recognize the beans more so by the color of the labels on the bags. So Long Island has a bunch of really, really good roasters. I've always been kind of partial to Flux in Farmingdale. I think they're incredible. But they had a Yerga Chief. And it blew my mind. It was so good. That was one of the best coffees I'd ever had, but it was like this one particular roast they did of it. It's a super small, like they have one shop, they roast inside the shop, like that sort of thing. So, but they still bag it and everything. And I brought that home, and a friend of mine did a pour over for me of his, which was what made me go and buy a bag, cold brew at home, order it every time I went there for 2 weeks or whatever. And then I noticed that they were running out of it, had the same color bag and everything, but they're great. There's also this one spot on Long Island that everybody loves called South Down. It always gets voted like, number one roaster in the country. It gets that all the time. I mean, who's to fucking say if that's what kind of press that is, you know what I mean? But it's like they always get. I will say it is terrific. It is terrific. But all my friends love it. There's a couple of locations, but that's a new thing. I think they were only one location for a long time. But with Hangman and with Koyo on tours and stuff, the general method of we spend at least, I'm going to say the average price per day of that we spent on coffee individually was at least $15-$20 a day.
Oh my God.
Because we not everybody is so if you think I'm kind of stupid when it comes to coffee shit, the rest of the band is hilarious. They're like, they're like, yeah, I just want, I don't know, maple syrup and espresso and shit. Like I'll get to that, but we go to like a couple of different local roasters everywhere we go.
Mm-hmm.
And we make a point of like asking Lumpy usually beforehand, or like I'll text him and be like, yo, I'm in where should I go get coffee? And he'll give me his spiel, and then I'll just Google it. And sometimes it's like he's full of shit. It seems like it, at least from the local opinion. So I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna try this place instead. But yeah, I'm like on this. We just did a full US.
Mm-hmm.
We were late to a couple of shows because we spent the whole day at different coffee shops. And then we'd be like, I want to try this one too. I want to try this one too. Wait, I want to go to this one. Wait, and the way we judge it is always so funny because we'll be like, well, what kind of menu do they have? Do they have a chalkboard menu? We don't like the chalkboard menu. We like the little letterboard menus. That's what's cool. I gotta find this one. What I was interrupting myself with before is we had what we all consider to be the best coffee of our lives in Albuquerque on an off day at Cutbow Coffee. That's the name of it. I just found it. Yeah, dude. We were in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I had to work from the road, and I found this place in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Albuquerque rather. And it was, when I tell you, like, legitimately the best coffee I have ever had. I had 3 different drinks from there, and they all blew me away. That's Cutbow, Cutbow. Everybody on the tour was blown away.
That's crazy.
We stayed there the entire day. It was so good. It was so worth it. And we got to see some cool Breaking Bad shit while we were in town. This is dope.
I was in Albuquerque early, like February of last year, before the world shut down. And was like desperate for coffee and found the shop that I ended up going to because I was there for about a week. I can't remember the name of it, but it was downtown, and there's nothing downtown. I don't know if anybody outside of Albuquerque knows that there is nothing in downtown Albuquerque. But yeah, it was really good. I was trying to see if that was the shop that I had gone to, but you guys were like in a different area. So
do you remember the name of yours? Because I remember we were like debating before we went there.
They literally, it's a Colombian dude, and he only sells Colombian coffee. Is it the Brew Coffee Bar?
Brew Coffee?
It is. It's the Brew Coffee Bar.
I don't know if that one.
They roast inside as well. It was pretty cool. It was like brand new when I got there.
Okay, I mean, it looks cool. I'm looking at it right now.
He has like family farm. Like that shop owns a farm in Colombia.
Oh, that's sick. Okay, I like stuff like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Talking about Koyo, the tour and everything like that. Let's go ahead and shift into some music talking. The 3 bands that got you into hardcore.
Got me into hardcore specifically.
It can be heavy music. I hate like limiting it.
I'm gonna say bands that got me into like alternative band. I'm gonna give you a band that got me into alternative music, a band that got me into like breakdowns, and a band that got me into like hardcore.
So like the path, the journey.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say when I was like, I was probably 6 or 7 years old when I first heard Taking Back Sunday, and that got me into them. And that got me into like the worlds of alternative, like Long Island post-hardcore music. Brand new, The Movie Life, Crime and Stereo, and that got me into like pop punk and like Fall Out Boy and Paramore and all that stuff at that age. Second band, this is a funny one, The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah,
was one of my favorite bands when I was 11 or 12 years old. They put out the Hey John, What's Your Name Again music video when I was like maybe 11. And I think that album came out when I was 11 because I needed my sister to drive me to the mall so I could get it on CD. And that got me into like heavy stuff. And then hardcore, I'm going to say hardcore, probably Cold World.
Okay.
Cold World's Backtrack, something like that. I'm gonna stop my video for just a second, but I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Cold World was huge. Or Trapped Under Ice too. Like that's such a tough question, man. God damn, I know.
If it was like that 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Like that time, that was so saturated with all of that, like New York and, Trapped Under Ice and everything like that. Like,
yeah, no, for sure. That was like that, especially like living on Long Island. That was fucking, you were surrounded by it. So if I had to pick 3 bands that like got me into hardcore on Long Island specifically, I would probably say like Backtrack, Bottom Out, Incendiary. So at that time, those bands were on like everything, and they were so ubiquitous on Long Island. Like kids that you like just went to high school with would be wearing like Backtrack shirts, and it was so weird. So if I had to pick, if I'm going on my past bands, I'm going to say Backtrack was the band that got me into like hardcore. That at that period in my life, it was definitely the influence that Backtrack had on my young adulthood. The singer of Backtrack, Vitalo, is a good friend of mine. He went to the same high school as me. Okay. So there's a cool like local connect there. That's just like, it made it a little bit stronger. I'm like 15 years younger than him or whatever, but not really. But I'm definitely younger than him.
I'm very jealous of that. And I'll have another question later about, just Long Island in general, but like that idea of, cause like, I don't know if you know the band Showbread, they never got like super big, but I went to the same high school as the singer of that band. And so like, that was like, they were something like Tooth and Nail, the same label as Under Oath for like a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
But, we from Savannah, like we don't have anything. We have like Baroness and Black Tusk and Kylesa, which are all good bands, but they're obviously that's a very different scene. So
I think the only band I've ever even heard of out of those is Baroness, in fairness, but Savannah has a Cuban Window Cafe.
We do.
Vatican.
And it do have Vatican. It do have Vatican.
2 dope things. Yeah. That's that's cool.
Growing up, like we didn't have really that. We were always reliant on bands coming in from out of town, usually like Atlanta. Yeah. Obviously we had like Foundation. And then like Mongoloids spent time in Florida, I guess. So they were always playing around that area. But yeah, we didn't really have a lot of that. So super jealous of that scene, that connection with hardcore. It was always weird.
Yeah, we're definitely really lucky and spoiled, but it's what it is. Cool.
Do you remember your first like show experience?
Yeah, I kind of do. So I was really young. A friend of mine's older sister. So back on in like the late 2000s, like early 2010s, like there was such a bustling Long Island scene that there became like a smaller scene, like smaller shows that were happening at the same time, and they were all like mixed bill shows. Our high school has this history. Our neighborhood that we were in, that's like Koyo reps where we all went to high school, and like where we're all from, really hard in Stony Brook, because that's like it's got its own hardcore history, like it's cool. Mm-hmm. And there were shows in Stony Brook, and I remember going to one when I was like 11 years old, like 10 or 11 years old. My friends a friend of mine at the time, his sister's boyfriend was in a local band that was on this like totally mixed bill lineup, and I was legitimately like 11 years old. There was like a straight up hardcore band. There was an emo band. There were 2 like metalcore bands, and there was like a pop punk band, and they were all awesome. And like 100 people were there, in like our hometown. It was, that was really cool. I didn't start going to shows until like years later, but that was my first experience with it. And it was awesome.
I know a lot of people. Yes. It's always like, there's something that kind of grabs you where it's like,
yeah,
I want to know more about this.
Insatiable, like that you have this like insatiable desire to just know more and be more involved. And I got bit by that when I was so young.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that hearing, like, I went to this show and some of the elements might've been intimidating, but like there was just something there that like a spark.
Oh yeah, dude. There was a fight that happened like that night between like a bunch of people, like a couple feet away. I mean, I wasn't no dummy, you know. I kind of knew like I just didn't expect it. And like years later, I'm telling a group of friends of mine the story of going to my first show and seeing these guys fight or whatever. And one of my friends goes like, "Wait a second, was that the Boys and Girls Club in like 2009?" And I was like, or not even, it was like 2007. And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That was me. I was in that fight. That was me." Hilarious. Everything comes full circle, you know?
That's great.
So it was awesome.
That's like how, you know, I had an interview like on Sunday with, I don't know if you know the band Cold Shoulder.
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
They're from Toronto. But I was saying, like, we were talking about something, and I've never met this dude in my whole life, even though we live 6 hours away. And I like mentioned a band, and he was like, "Oh, do you know this guy in this band from like Ohio?" And I was like, "Yes." How do you? So like learning how like connected like the hardcore scene, especially if it's not like quote unquote, you know, like straight up hardcore, if it has anything to do with that community, everybody kind of knows each other or knows like someone else who knows that person. It's really funny.
No, for sure. We have friends all over the place, you know, and friends of friends. And I love that. It's, there's a million connections everywhere that you just have to find, you know?
Yeah. And it's just more about, you know, I hate saying the word networking, but like making friends. I love just making friends.
Yeah, I'm definitely bad at making friends and networking, but it's still cool, you know?
More on, you know, the Stony Brook, like Long Island or greater Long Island scene. What, in your opinion, keeps that Long Island hardcore scene still strong like today?
I mean, I think it's always a hot spot for shows. Obviously, we have guys like Joey who sings in Koyo, and Scanlon, and even friends of mine like Jerry from Standstill. I know books a couple of shows here and there. Like, we have people like that to thank for it. It's always like it's always a destination for other bands. But I think just as much as that is the fact that there's always bands on Long Island. There's always kids who are starting a band. And, you know, when I say kids, the age changes throughout the years. You know, like when I was like 15, 16 years old, I was starting bands and like they sucked. But like now I was the kid starting the bands, you know, like we were kids and like starting stuff. And now that we're older, like the kids are like 18, 19 years old, you know, everybody's a little older. And there's always something. Like we have a toy drive happening next week where we have a band from like, it seems like it's a band from every friend group, or a lot of friend groups on Long Island. There's like 7 bands on the show, and all of them are, you know, pretty good, you know, like it's Jab, Warehouse, Soul Provider, which is Koyo just rearranged. Like I forget who else, but it's a Restrict. Like it's a bunch of cool bands that are always coming and, you know, and going and shit like that. And I like that. Yeah.
It seems, is it have to do it? Cause I know Long Island as a whole is pretty suburban. Do you think that kind of also plays into it?
See, like, yeah, I think so, but it's like Long Island just always had that rich history. I think it's more so the fact that like it's so overpopulated. Like Long Island is, to other parts of the country or to other parts of the States, would be a city. Like Long Island is more like Savannah than like probably a lot of people realize. It's more like I always say it's more like LA and a lot of people realize like it's not so it's hard to explain. Like New York City is the biggest fucking city in the world. It's like it's the center of the universe. It's there. We all live on top of each other here, and it's like Long Island is just like it was all people from the city moving out there like for the past 100 years. It's like it's just continued to grow, and Long Island is incredibly overpopulated. You know, it's more densely populated than most big cities, I feel like. And so it's partially just the fact that there are so many people, there's so many kids, there's so many things to get into, but it's also like it's got the socioeconomic qualities that lead to good hardcore music. You know, there's like the school that I went to had 3,000 students, and a whole mess of them were into really, really hard drugs. So that was what got my friends and I to like seek different stuff to do, you know, and like really full send it into hardcore. But I mean, we've always had like, there's so many different factors, you know, so many different things contribute to that, I think.
Yeah, I feel that when you have lots of rich kids with drugs, it always leads to
Sure, yeah.
a nice straight edge pocket popping up somewhere.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Speaking about Koyo, you guys have recently come off a tour. It feels like you guys are just nonstop right now, actually. What is it like touring post-COVID outbreak compared to pre-COVID?
I think touring post-COVID is way cooler than I thought it was going to be. So a couple of us in Koyo have, myself included, have autoimmune diseases and shit. And so like we were super cautious about going out and like all this stuff. And like we were definitely, you know, we weren't those like reckless, like, oh, fuck it, we'll do whatever we want. You know, we were all very like respectful of our health and our family's health and things like that. And that being said, like the tours have all of that considered. We've still had like, there's so many people there and you have the, you know, you want to have this like anxiety, but you just say, fuck it. You know, and like not even fuck, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I'm wearing a mask the whole time, you know, like we're not playing. I'm wearing a mask. I don't want anybody near me type stuff, but it's like you play and you have a good time and everybody respects each other and it's cool. And, you know, and at least ideally. And I could say this, I think, I don't know if it's the nature of the band itself with Koyo, but it's like, my previous experience touring with other bands, there's a lot more people coming out to shows. And I think it's because they were so starved for that sort of interaction. They were starved for, you know, live music. It was I myself was sick and tired of touring by the time COVID hit. Mm-hmm. I was so sick of it. I was like, yo, I don't care anymore. I'm done. I wasn't even, you know, that's partially in jest, but like I was one of those people who was always like, man, I want to fucking go home. I want to sit down, go home. And now it's like, it's so cool that I am so excited to be out there, you know, and not even that, like before, I didn't care if it was cool or not. I was cooped up in my house for 2 years. I wanted to fucking tour, you know, grass is always greener type thing. That's for sure how it is. But I think touring right now is as good as it's ever been, at least for me, you know.
I know I've seen, you know, on certain videos maybe, and even Sonny had put out a video recently a few months ago now, talking about shows returning like in Arkansas, and there were kids there that was their first show. They were like introduced to hardcore during COVID. Have you guys had any interactions with people like that? Yeah, for sure. That's, I would say there's a lot of kids like that now. There are like bands that of kids who had never, like, I think that's something that I thought was really cool. I can't think of the names of them, but I know Joey books one of them, like sometimes on Long Island shows, and like, I don't know any of them personally, but that concept is so cool that they like found hardcore during COVID and said, let's start a band that sounds like this stuff. And they're all like in high school. And now they
come out of COVID quarantine and they're able to like do shows, you know, that's fucking cool. I like that shit. I think a lot of kids are like that. Our first two shows post COVID, I don't think they were premature, but they were in like maybe August. And they both sold out, and like they were the same weekend. And it was like, not many people didn't give a shit. They just there was so many people who like found out about, there were so many faces I had never seen there. Mm-hmm. Like I'd never seen any of these people before. And I like that. I think that's awesome. You know, that's so cool. Like that's, I wish I knew more of those stories. Like, what was this? Was this like, some like TikTok of some people doing some cartwheels or some shit? And now you're like, oh, what kind of concert is this? Like, how did that happen? You know, I'm really interested. But
yeah, I would love to identify some of those people and just talk to them to be like, how did you see a video of something that attracted you to like, this is weird.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's not the hardcore origin story that not even any of us are used to.
No, it was like I heard a band and they were coming, so I went to their show and then got my shit, knocked out by some 300-pound dude. Like,
yeah, I got beat up for like 6 months, and then just decided to keep going. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, just put some weight on. Went to the gym.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my Joker origin story. Is just being too skinny and needing to gain weight for hardcore shows.
Yeah. So then I just turned into a psychopath and learned about pre-workout.
Straight up.
You guys just announced 2 tours. Well, when this comes out, it won't be yesterday, but at the time of recording this interview, it is yesterday. You guys announced 2 tours, one with Living Weapon, Fleshwater, and Vein, and another one with Knocked Loose and Movements.
Yes, and Kublai Khan on that Knocked Loose.
Oh, Kublai Khan is also on. So y'all are just going to go through cities and destroy like each city?
I mean, yeah, thankfully we're up first though, so everybody else can just tear it down afterwards. They can at least hear us before everything gets destroyed. We announced those yesterday.
Is there any particular cities that you guys are looking forward to hitting? Or
I kind of got in my own head about this like last week. I got the itinerary and I looked at all the venues on the Knocked Loose tour, and first of all, I'm so grateful for both of those tours because they're both with good friends of ours. Like I've known the Vein dudes who are also Living Weapon and Fleshwater for a very long time, and they're some great friends of ours. Joey, our singer, toured with Vein for years. So like those are people very close to us, and I'm grateful for them. And the same thing with Knocked Loose. Like I don't even know everyone on that tour, but the guys who I know, I'm really, really grateful for. And I consider them good friends, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But I was I was looking through the itineraries, and I was just like, holy shit. Like I'm going to play this room, me and my friends from high school are going to play this room, like, I don't know about that. I would say I haven't even looked at all of them. I'm very excited to play Columbus because we're playing this place, the Athenaeum, whatever the fuck it's called. It looks like some fucking theater president got assassinated in or some shit. It looks mad old school. A friend of mine from Denver reached out yesterday to say that the theater we're playing in is like an 1800s fucking theater. Like I'm excited to play everywhere, man. I just want to play. I'm so excited. I said, grass is always greener. I got home from a month on the road just now, and I'm like, damn, I want to do it again.
Let's go next month.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's crazy.
I'm so excited for January. I'm excited for January. I wish January was longer. It's only a week, It's only 5 shows or 4 shows or something like that. I wish that was a full month. That would be awesome.
That's like a long trip though for a week.
Yeah. That's I'm fucking psyched, man. That's gonna be awesome. I love those. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. I wish I was able to catch, either one of those. I haven't looked at all the dates for Knocked Loose, but if it comes close enough, I may be able to hit that one up. Well, Harold, I really appreciate you hanging out with me this morning. I just have one last question for you before we go.
Go for it.
What's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
All right. New York.
It has to be.
I was gonna overthink that for a second, and I was gonna really dive into the question. But New York, across the board, it's great city in the world. City's so nice they named it twice.
That's one of the easier. That's one of the easier answers I've gotten.
Yeah, it's got to be New York, man. I'm a loyal guy.
I would expect nothing less. Well, man, I know you got to get to work. I also have to get to work, but I really appreciate you hanging out with me this morning, and awesome. Wish you guys the best in January. Have some happy holidays, and then, go get wrecked on tour.
Thank you so much, man. You too. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Harold for taking time to come on the podcast and talk to me about coffee and hardcore. It was such a great time, and be sure to check them out on the road coming up in the next few months. It's going to be an awesome time. Those shows look to be just a blast, so be sure to give those guys some love. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can also find out more information about the podcast on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. or on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns. Until next time, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up!